Happy Valentine's Day, yogis. For this wonderful heart opening practice, you'll need a block and a bolster or a couple of pillows. We're going to come to seated on our mat and actually find a block or a book, if you don't have any blocks, at its lowest level. Rise up off of the glutes and come to sit nice and comfortably on the block. Loop the shoulders back, rest the hands on tops of the thighs. Place one hand across your heart, followed by the other hand. Feel the heartbeat, connect to the breath. Invite a nice, kind, positive word into your space or mantra. And softly float the hands back down to the thighs. From here, we're going to shift forward, gently release that block, placing it off to the side, and find our next prop, either a bolster or a couple of pillows. So you want to bring the bolster lengthwise onto the mat, sit your glutes really close to it, the low back area. And then from here, if you need to scoot your glutes out a little bit farther away, if you're feeling tension on the low back, that's okay. You have options with the legs. Leave your feet flat onto the mat, take your legs out long, or maybe find a nice reverse cobbler's pose, butterfly pose. Opening up through the chest, opening up through the inner thighs, and keeping a nice, consistent, deep breath. Shining the heart forward, allowing stress to melt away from the body, giving yourself permission to let go and open up. On your next inhale, you're going to softly bring the forearms to the mat. And then we're going to take it into a wide-legged forward fold with the bolster or pillows in between legs. Inhale as you lift up, hinge from hips, fold forward, allow the toes to flop toward the back wall that you're facing so you can protect the knee. And then maybe if you're feeling flexible today, you can bring one ear down to the prop that you're using and give that prop a nice little gentle hug. Nice restorative stretch here along the inside of the thighs as well as the low back. And just breathe, really opening up. To even out our neck stretch, we're going to slowly come up and then turn our head, resting down on the opposite ear. Couple more breaths, and then we're going to softly come up, remove the bolster, and find our tabletop. On your inhale, fly the right arm high, thread the needle, bring that arm, underneath the left. 90-degree bend with that left elbow. Now, if you'd like to, you can take a bind with that left arm, opening up through the front of the left shoulder, placing the back of the hand to the opposite glute, or perhaps you grab the top of the thigh. Or you can lengthen the arm out and in front of you, bringing the bicep up towards the ear. Finding length, opening up through the back of the shoulder blades. Inhale as you lift that arm, placing the left hand back down onto the mat, using pressure here to push up, taking the right arm up towards the ceiling, and then find your center. Opposite side, left arm flies. And then as you exhale, thread the needle. Really reach that arm through, resting the temple down onto the mat or maybe to a block if you need. Float the right arm up. You can take a nice little gentle bind here if you wish. If you'd like to lengthen the arm, taking the bicep up and over the ear, that's also an option for you. When you're ready, float that hand up, bring the right palm down to the earth, and then inhale for alignment purposes, take that left arm back up towards the ceiling, and then find your center. Walking the hands out, we're going to find our downward facing dog. So curl the toes, start to shift the glutes up towards the ceiling. Using a lot of properties that we've already discussed in some of the videos prior to this one. Coming up to the toes and then work on getting the heels a little bit closer down to the mat. Coming up to the toes, stretching through the foot, pressing ground away with the hands, lowering heels down as close as you can towards the mat. One more time, coming up to the toes, stretching through the foot, and then exhale as you bring the feet a little bit closer down. On your next inhale, we're going to fly the right leg high, bend the knee, gentle opening of the hip. Be mindful of the weight distribution in the hands. Grip into the mat with the fingertips if you need to. Melt the heart towards the thighs. Square the hips, and then we're going to bring that knee up into chest, create some space, roll the shoulder blades away from one another, plant foot in between hands. Coming into our Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1. So spin 45 degrees down onto that back foot, lifting the arms up overhead, dropping the shoulders. Slight tilt in the tailbone. Make sure that those hips are nice and square. Shine the heart forward. And then from here, we're going to airplane the arms out to our sides. Interlace the fingers, pull down, open the chest. Broadening through the collarbone, nice shoulder stretch. We're going to come up to the back toes, coming into low lunge formation. Releasing the hands back into airplane. So keep them at airplane. We're going to start to hinge forward in the torso. Start to step that back foot up. And then see if you can launch up into a version of Warrior 3 with airplane arms. Shining the heart towards the floor. Nice length through the torso, keeping everything nice and open. And then float the palms down, tent the fingertips at the top of the mat, and then launch it up into a standing split. Straightening that supporting leg as much as you can. Exhale, see if you can drop the head, let the neck release. And then we're going to tone up through the core. On your next exhale, you're going to bend that back knee in towards the chest. And then inhale as you lengthen. Energy out of that back heel every time you lengthen. Exhale as you contract the core, bringing knees into belly. Extend as you lengthen. And extend. A couple more here. And then you're going to float that left foot to about the middle of the mat. Reach around, see if you can grab your blocks or books, whatever props you're using, coming into a pyramid pose. So planting hands if you need to on the blocks and really stretching through that front leg. Send the right hip back, send the left hip down. Make sure the shoulders are out of the ears. You can drop the nose down towards the knee if it's available to you in your practice. Take it to your level, your mat, your space, your pace. Start to bend into that front knee now. We're going to move the blocks out of the way, planting the hands down onto the mat, stepping it back into a low runner's lunge, and then step that right foot back. Find your plank hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shift forward onto the toes, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Take your flow. Inhale for your back bend and heart shiner, so cobra or up dog. And then exhale, press it up and back into your downward facing dog. Melt the heart to the thighs. Pedal it out if you need. Inhale, the left leg flies. Bend that knee, open the hip slightly. Nothing too drastic here. It's all about self-care, self-love, small little motions if you need. Square the hips. And now we're going to bring that leg up in towards chest, knee to chest. Create space. Bring the shoulder blades away from one another and then step the foot in between the hands. Spin down 45 degrees onto that back foot. Root to rise into your Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1. Deep breath in. Full breath out. So tone up through that back knee. Make sure that back quad is nice and activated. Square the hips as best you can. Nice deep lunge into that front leg. Don't hold the breath. Make sure you're breathing. Airplane the arms down at your side. Interlace the hands. Pull down. Open up through the chest. Shine your heart forward. Feeling confident. Feeling strong. Feeling brave. Using this time for you and you alone. Release the hands, but keep the arms into airplane. Bring the legs into low lunge legs. Start to hinge forward in the torso. Step the back toes up. And then start to see if you can straighten that supporting leg, keeping the torso nice and parallel to the floor. Heart shining down. Shoulders down and away from the ears. And then we're going to plant our hands, our fingertips to either corner of the mat. You can use blocks here if you're starting to tire. Straighten through that supporting leg as best you can, standing split. Inhale. As you exhale, bend that back knee in towards the chest. And inhale as you lengthen energy out of that heel. Exhale as you bring knees in. Tone up through the core every time you bring those knees in closer to the chest. So contract that abdominal wall. Helps us stand tall, strong, confident. Helps us with our balance. A couple more here. Hold it and breathe. Kick that leg back and then bring it back into your pyramid pose. So bringing that foot about middle of the mat. Invite props into your space if you need. And really just surrender and release. Let go through that hamstring on the left side. Square the hips. Shoulders down and away from the ears. You can start to round and float the nose towards the knee. And we're going to start to softly bend into that front knee. Step the right foot back, remove the blocks, place the hands down onto the mat, low runner's lunge. And then let's step it back and find our plank hold, stability hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shift forward onto the toes, knees, chest, chin, or full chaturanga. Take your flow. Inhale for your chest opener, back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe it out here, lengthen through the spine. Softly, gently come down to the knees. We're going to extend our legs out nice and long, coming all the way down to the belly. So working through a little bit of back bending, some Shalavasana variation on into bow pose. So just take it to your level. Flip the toes over to face the earth. Bring your arms out nice and long to your side, palms facing down. Start to lift the head, neck, and shoulders up, lifting the chest up off of the mat. Keep your gaze in front of you, so keep the neck in alignment. If you'd like to, you can hover the hands, more energy out of the fingertips, rolling those shoulder blades farther down your back. Last little thing here, again, take it to your level, interlace the fingers, pull down, open the chest, and then you can float the feet together and up, coming into a Shalavasana variation. Tone the core, press the pelvic bone into the mat so that you don't feel it too much in the low back. A little trick. Softly, slowly lower down, no slingshots with the body, gently bring one ear to the mat. And then bring your gaze back to center. We're going to try this again, except we're going to try a bow pose this time. So we're going to lift our chest up off of the floor as we did, stamp the feet up towards the ceiling, and maybe here you just reach back for the feet. Or maybe you can bring the feet in a little bit closer. Start to kick the feet into hands. That action is going to lift you farther up off of the mat. So take it slow, take it in layers. Make sure you're not feeling it too much in the low back. Back bending comes from the upper back. Shoulder blades down the spine, nice openness in the chest here. Breathing. Softly, slowly lower, bring the opposite ear down to the mat. Nice little neck stretch. Feel the belly rise on the inhale into the mat, fall on the exhale back towards the spine. Bring your gaze center, bring the hands underneath shoulders, knees together, press it up and back into a child's pose, more of a shell stretch child's pose. Your arms can be long out in front of you, or you can swim your arms out to your sides. Allow the shoulders to roll in. Rest your forehead down onto the mat or to a block, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Breathe here. Float our hands out in front if they were at your side. Softly push yourself up through tabletop. Then we're going to take our shins off to one side. Find your comfortable seat. So you can invite a block back into the space if you'd like to. Maybe you sit in a nice lotus pose, one foot in front of the other. Loop the shoulders back. Place one hand over heart, followed by the other. Look back on that gentle self-care intention that you set for yourself. Feeling proud of this moment. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Be kind, be gentle. Namaste.